Today I'm gonna try out a new gadget, a Danish whisk.
It's a whisk. We're gonna wanna watch that.
What have you done now?
Thought it was a back scratcher.
So I've been seeing a lot of information about Danish dough whisks recently, so I thought I'd give it a try.
Advertising works, huh?
I mean, I didn't click the link. I went and searched for it on my own.
Right, but you should click our links. What is a Danish dough whisk?
This is a whisk that you would use to mix the wet and dry ingredients together of a thick dough. It can also be used on thinner doughs and batters, but ideally this would save your hands from getting all gloopy, mix the ingredients together better and faster than the traditional methods, either with a hand or a wooden spoon.
Okay, well, I'm highly suspicious of advertising, so we should put it to the test.
We definitely should try this. I'm gonna start with a biscuit dough, which is a dough that I would normally mix by hand and get my hands all gloopy. So I'm gonna try it with the Danish whisk instead.
Technical term of gloopy.
This is a basic baking powder biscuit recipe. I've already measured the dry ingredients. It's just flour, salt, a little bit of sugar, and baking powder, of course. First thing, we're just gonna whisk the dry ingredients together. That's pretty standard. I think you could do that with just about anything in your kitchen. Nothing special about this whisk there. And then the next step is going to be cutting in the butter, which is not a whisk step. It's not a whisk step at all. That is hands. I have a pastry cutter, but I prefer to use my hands, so I'm going to just cut this butter into the dough quickly. So I'm just pressing this flour into the butter, and I'm leaving it in little flat, like coin-sized pieces so that it'll make nice flakes in my biscuits.
Butter coins.
Currency.
Currency. Those are the currency of this household.
Butter currency.
Butter coins. Well, this whisk really is keeping your hands clean.
It really is.
Okay, now it looks like you're playing.
I'm not.
Oh, we have to use the whisk to receive any benefits of the whisk. I don't just get to own the whisk and then everything gets easy.
So now this is usually the gloopy part where you add the liquid to the dry ingredients and then it becomes either a big glob on your wooden spoon or you've got club fingers. And so we're just going to pour most of this milk in. Theoretically, this whisk is gonna do all the work.
All right.
Oh my goodness. That's impressive, actually. Wow, I was skeptical, but this is actually working very well. It does have gloop on the whisk. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, it should be easy to pull off. Okay, that's kind of impressive. For a first go around, I kind of like that. Okay, next I'm gonna roll these biscuits out, fold them into layers, cut them, and bake them.
And then give them to the neighbors.
Give them to the neighbors. You're welcome, neighbors. Good job, whisk. Into the oven at 425 for 15 to 20 minutes. The biscuits went well, so I'm gonna try a different dough. This one's actually a yeasted dough. It's a low knead dough, but it has a lot of stages of bringing together wet and dry ingredients.
So I think another one of the differences here is that the biscuit dough doesn't need gluten. You don't want gluten, and supposedly this can mix things together without producing gluten. And this next one does need a bit of gluten, so we'll see how well it does.
This will be a soft wrap flatbread. First, I'll combine the flour with boiling water. That's going to be very gluey, so it's a good test for this whisk. Once this is done, I'll set it aside for 30 minutes to hydrate the flour. While we wait, we'll combine the remaining flour, potato flour, yeast, and oil. After the flour is hydrated, I'll combine the ingredients to make the full dough. And as you can see, this dough is much thicker than the biscuit dough, which is good for this whisk. Here you can see it pushing right through the dough. It is pretty easy to clean the dough off the whisk. It still requires fingers, but it comes right off. I'm working with oiled hands and surface to knead the dough for just a few minutes to build up a little bit of gluten. The first time I made this, it was too stiff, so I solved that problem. But I went the other way, and this time it's too sticky. So I add flour as I go. It's a trial and error process. That seems good enough to me, so it's time to let it rest again. After resting, we divide the dough into eighths, form them into balls, still some more flour, and let it rest again. Now I finally get to roll each ball into an 8 to 10 inch flat circle and cook it on a hot griddle for 1 to 2 minutes per side. Also, more flour. These come off the griddle kind of like pancakes in batches. They're best hot, but you can reheat them on the griddle later. This multi-step dough was a good test of the whisk, and it did the job nicely even with a thicker dough. We enjoyed these with our Greek chicken dinner as a nice soft wrap.
Next, I thought we'd try an Irish soda bread.
Okay, why's that?
Well, there's no kneading involved, but it is a very thick dough.
Okay, so we'll really put this thing to its test.
Yes.
Doesn't get any simpler than Irish soda bread. We're talking flour, salt, baking soda, and simply buttermilk. Combine the dry ingredients, add the buttermilk, and stir to combine. It will make a very stiff dough. The whisk has no problem cutting through the dough here, and it combines the dry ingredients very well. You can see this required a lot more elbow grease than before, but I was able to avoid using my hands. Getting all the last bits of flour from the bottom of the bowl is important, and the whisk was easy to clean off. Now it's just a matter of shaping and putting in the oven. This enameled Dutch oven has been preheating to 425 and will make a nice crust on the bottom of our Irish soda bread. This bakes 30 minutes with the lid on and 15 uncovered. Look at that. Comes from the oven looking golden brown and delicious. And the whisk was able to get the exact texture we were looking for.
All right, let's get to the conclusion. If you've liked the video so far, hit like, hit subscribe. Now, what do you say? Does it live up to the marketing hype?
You know, to a degree it does. I don't know that it's any faster, but it certainly did cut through some thicker doughs and batters easily. As far as easy to clean, it certainly doesn't clump in the bowl with the dough like your hands would or a wooden spoon would. But when you go to clean it, there are lots of little nooks and crannies to scrub free of the dough, including right here where it connects to the handle.
So is this going to replace all of your bread making tools?
No, I still do have a stand mixer, and I will use that for my heavy-duty yeast doughs. It's just easier to get them started that way and finish the kneading on my own.
But if you don't have a stand mixer, this does only cost like 5% of a stand mixer and can fit in a drawer.
It's true. If you don't have that mixer, this may be a good tool for you.
So there you have it. If you like this, maybe drop a comment. Let us know if something else you'd like us to review. We'll see you next time.